All right, welcome to our call tonight, everybody. I'm not going to be waffling on at all tonight. You have got the man, the myth, the legend, Mikey Miles, liar.
Hola.
Hello, how are you?
I am good. I am great.
Guys, if you do not know who this gentleman right here is, he is one of the founders of Trade House. He is the first ever Go Live educator. This exists because of him. And we have been running these calls since very early 2017, and we've been trying to figure out how this actually started today on our 2-hour long Zoom, and can't figure it out, but we're here and we've been consistent, and we appreciate you guys being here with us tonight. So if you guys don't know, there was a big convention out in Houston. Was it Houston? Yeah. Houston on the weekend. And so Mike did a phenomenal, surprising, I can say that word tonight. We don't want to repeat it last week, do we? A great presentation that he did on the weekend, all about follow the money and things like that. So I'm going to shush up and I'm going to hand it over to Mike. And then at the very end of the call, guys, we're going to do a convention recap of everything that's coming out in terms of the tech that IAM is bringing. It's pretty fucking juicy. I will tell you that. So stay the line, hold the line, just like we're all doing in Australia right now. Hold the line. So everyone, stay the line, stay as long as you can, because at the very end of this call, there are some big company updates that you are going to want to be told. Mike, I'm going to hand it to you.
Make it to work in screen share.
Yes, boss. There you go.
Yes. All righty. Cool. So before I pull it up, just like what SJ said, well, first of all, hi. And I'm making sure that I had this pulled up for later. That's what I was doing. Okay. And yeah, I'll pull that up later. Anyways, yeah. What's up, everybody? Yeah. So today, what me and SJ decided to do was obviously, if not every single person here wasn't there for the convention. I don't think anybody here was, but regardless, what we wanted to do, or what I wanted to do today, was do what I did at the convention. And so this slideshow that I'm going to move through was, again, what I did there. And there's going to be a couple of slides that I guess in context won't really make sense, but just remember, I was the first, one of the first ones to go. There were 7 different rooms for each time block, and obviously there were seven of us going at it each time. So I was one of the first ones. And so again, just before you guys wonder, there's a couple of things that kind of, I guess, won't make sense, but I will point them out when we get there. But convention was absolutely amazing. Like she said, we will get over to that here in just a little bit. And this is being recorded, so we're going to jump straight on into it. Starting now. All right. So let me move this over here. All right. So you guys, I know this is going to be recorded, but this is also going to, if you guys want to take pictures of this or take notes, however you, actually, in fact, there's a lot of them that you're either going to want to watch the recording or, again, take pictures of it, just because of some of the slides that you guys will see. But the intention here is, again, to set the tone for all of the information that people were going to be learning today, by setting some of the foundations about the perspective on why everybody is here, not even just obviously in the room that day, but also even here right now on the Zoom call, money. And we are not, of course, taught how any of that works, who controls it, what purpose does it serve, and of course, how that all applies to trading. I know a lot of you guys have heard me talk about this before, but there's going to be some numbers that I'm going to be throwing into your face here as these slides continue to go. And the point of this, before we even go any further, is just to, again, understand that when everybody gets started with trading, these are, again, typical things that are not taught from pretty much anywhere in the world. It doesn't even matter if you guys are on the other side of the world. Just as much as it's not taught there, it is not taught here, or, again, pretty much anywhere else. But if you guys are expecting to step into the world financial markets and expect success to happen without even, again, understanding what money is, to me, that's insanity. Because if you don't really, again, understand the picture, or at least even the current picture of what money is right now, it's kind of a big deal. And this is what this entire, the objective is, again, is to point out some things that are not opinions or uh, my perspective on anything. There's a lot of stuff that is, again, the facts and how it all really goes. And so first thing is, a lot of people have always been taught the lie of money is the root of all evil. Well, have you ever asked yourself, what is the root of all money? And that's, again, what we really, really want to talk about here. And I always love this quote. I always bring it up usually when I'm talking about money, but it is Henry Ford, and that is the Ford car, the car production company. Of course, Henry Ford being the person that founded that entire company. I don't know if you have Fords like crazy out there. I'm sure you do, but Fords are literally everywhere. And Henry Ford is one of the people that, of course, founded it, and one of the power families. It is well enough that people of this nation do not understand the banking or monetary, aka money system. For if they did, there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning. And it's not just that nation, it is the entire planet. And it's funny because I'm sure he was laughing when he said that, because it's so unironically true. But this is where, again, I just went straight to the throat. A lot of you guys potentially have been on my session before. This is an updated one. This is from 2020. So just so you guys know, these numbers are, of course, not going to be 100% literally what it is up to date right now at this moment. This is obviously over almost, a year, or I mean, it's definitely over a year, but I don't know exactly how far behind it is, but definitely a lot more recent than the other one that I used to pull up from 2017, I think. But it is a visualization of how the money and what the markets actually look like, and how unbelievably ridiculous the money system has quite literally become. So you see here in the middle, that black square, right? A square that size represents $100 billion. Remember that, because that's what you're about to see, is a bunch of that stuff. And I'll read the context over here as we go along. So here we go. Silver, the value of all above ground silver in the world is about 43.9, using $17.20 as an ounce as the spot price. So obviously it's more than that. All of these numbers, again, I won't say that again, but all of these numbers are obviously increased now. Crypto, at this point, it was 244 billion, obviously more, but that's how much it is right there in terms of the size. And then as we get further into it, the military spending from China, the States, and literally everybody else in the world, that's how much money is spent on it per year. U.S. budget deficit, which is, according to the Congressional Budget Office, rescue spending for COVID-19 will nearly quadruple the 2020 budget deficit to a record, 3.8 trillion, or 18.7% of the U.S. economic output. They've already raised that again. As we know, it went from 3.8 trillion to now it is 28 trillion. And we're about to hit 29 trillion as well. Next, all the coins and banknotes, which would be, of course, all of the physical cash in the world, tangible currency, what many people think around the world as money, about 6.6 trillion of that is in the world right now. Again, collectively with everybody. Fed's balance sheet is the next thing, where it now sits over 7 trillion. Over 40% of this total has been added in 2020 alone, meaning that they have continued to add more assets that they can purchase since 2020. 40% more has come over the course over, again, about a year and a half. And then you can see where it's purple right here. This is where it was added in 2008 for the financial crisis back in 2008. These purple squares, again, that's how much was added on then. And then again, all of this was added in 1 year. And this is how much it was prior. The world's billionaires, about 8 trillion. This is not even correct at all, because there's way more wealthy people than the billionaires. But of course, everybody believes that Jeff Bezos is the wealthiest person alive. LOL, he's not. Gold, all of those squares right there, of course, represent gold, about 10.9 trillion, with jewelry and all of the gold reserves and all that. Again, about $1,700 an ounce USD for the spot price, about 10.9 trillion. That's how much gold there is. And then the Fortune 500 companies, obviously the stock market, how big it is, the big five, we all know them, and all of the other ones. New York Stock Exchange and how much market cap they all, again, have. And this is why, of course, like New York is so unbelievably big, and all of the other ones, the NASDAQ, of course, and then again, Japan's, Shanghai's, Hong Kong's, Shenzhen's, London, and all of the other ones. About $89.5 trillion is how much daily market volume moves through them, again, on a daily basis. Next is the money supply. Now, there's one thing that I need to explain here, and that is narrow money and broad money. The total value of the world's easily accessible money is about 35.2 trillion. That includes the coins, all of the change, of course, all of the paper money, and checking deposits, which would be bank accounts. Broad money is all of that, plus the checking, savings, checking, or the savings accounts and time deposits. I'm actually not sure what it meant by checking here. That's weird. Checking deposits. I would assume checking deposits is a checking, like a normal bank account. I'm not really sure what that one is, but nonetheless, the broad money would be 95.7 trillion. The interesting thing is now in the world, there's only about 7% physical money left. And of course, as we already know, it was about 6.6 trillion, and 93% of the money that is getting tossed around in the world is all digital, meaning they're just numbers on a screen. And that's, again, what this looks like right here. And then that's what they have continued to do with all of these purple squares. Moving on, debt. This is extremely important because this is the total amount of debt, including that accumulated by the governments, corporations, and households together. It adds up to $253 trillion, which is 322% over the global GDP, meaning that they are, again, have agreed to spend X amount of money, but they are 322% past it at this point. And of course, it's even way more than that now. Households being the top, and then this is the government debt. This is the non-financial corporates, which is the housing market, and then the bottom one, which is the financial sector, which would be the companies. And then there's the pie chart for it. And then here is the real estate of the world, for residential being the biggest one right there, 220 trillion, commercial being the purple, 333 trillion, and then agricultural land, $27 trillion worldwide. And that's how much it looks like. Remember, each one of these squares represents $100 billion. And then here's the global wealth: North America, then Europe, then the Asia Pacific, and China, then India, and then everybody else. Sorry, guys, you didn't make it. I'm just kidding. You're actually, I think Australia is like fourth. But most of the wealth is obviously centralized in the biggest ones, right? So not really a big surprise there, but that's what it looks like, again, looking at it visually speaking. And now here we are with something that is, again, really, really important, which is derivatives. Now, derivatives is where everything has gone terribly, terribly wrong. What the banking systems and how the monetary system of the world, what they have figured out to do is that they will literally create a contract. So it says right here, a derivative is a contract between two or more parties, meaning, let's say me and you, that derives its value from the performance of an underlying asset, index, or entity. So an example would be a call option, or like a trade, right? Representing 100 shares of ABC, 123 stock with a stock price of $50 may trade the market for $1 per contract. What the market value of that would be, of course, is at 100 shares at $1 per contract, $100. But what the notional value, which is really the important part about, and I'm sorry, I should have explained this first. Let me do that. Derivatives are typically measured in two different ways, meaning the gross market value or the notional value. The gross market value would be $100 dollar per share, meaning that the market value would be $100 on that. The notional value, and that's where this is all become a huge problem, is that they will take that 100 shares at $50 a strike price, meaning that it essentially goes way, way up, and they turn 100 shares at $50 a strike price and turn it into 5,000. So they'll take the initial same investment that should have a value of $100, for example, and then they will turn it into 5,000. A couple examples of that are futures, forward contracts, options, swaps, credit default swaps. I always, of course, mention the movie The Big Short. This is the thing that, of course, this is what caused the 2008 financial crisis. They make money out of nothing, and then it's like, okay, you're the feds, I'm the bank. I'm the bank and I have gone bankrupt. You are the feds and you guys can print and give me more money. And the contract between us is that we are going to create a derivative. And what that is that the feds are going to buy another thing that they create, and it is called a bond. And once they buy that bond, they get to, again, set the price of whatever it is. And whatever they decide it is, they get to print more money out of nothing. They just create these little swaps and contracts and bonds, and then they buy them with nothing and then just print more money and inject it into the economy. That's what they're doing. They're printing money out of nothing and then promising to pay it back. The bank, the feds print more money. The banks promise to pay it back. The banks will buy the bonds and the swaps, and then the feds will give the bank money. That's how this is what it looks like. The gross market value is $11.6 trillion. The notional value at a low end estimate is $558 trillion. That's the low end. And again, this is how big that is. Do you see how big those pink squares are? That's how much they have created out of nothing. Collateralized debt obligations, or CDOs, is exactly and credit default swaps are two derivatives, or two examples of derivatives that are now infamous for their roles in the 2008 housing market crash. Because of this, there was a ticking time bomb, and they knew that this was going to happen, and they bailed themselves out, and this is how it's continued to work. And then again, the notional value goes to $1 quadrillion. And the point is that they literally do not know how much it is. They have no idea how much money is truly actually owed, because it keeps scaling at an unbelievable rate. The low end estimate for the notional of all value and derivatives comes from the BIS and covers only over-the-counter products, i.e. futures and contracts and swaps and bonds, all those things that are easily measured and quantified. The high-end number is unofficial because nobody knows, but it's cited by multiple sources and includes non-OTC, which is over-the-counter derivatives, which means that they're private. A non-OTC derivative may be a bespoke product used to hedge a specific risk that does not meet standardized clearing requirements, meaning that they literally cannot value how much debt is owed. We are way beyond the range now of like human comprehension. We need algorithms to, again, understand how unbelievably ridiculous they have created this monetary system and the way that this game is playing. This is what the money of the world looks like. We have a very, very, very little bit of it, and we owe an unbelievable amount of money. And now moving on to this is just a picture of the Federal Reserve, the central banking system, and this is the International Monetary Fund. And these are the people that, again, make these decisions. And this is like one of the rooms that they all do it in, just so, again, you visually know what it looks like. There are people from all of the countries that, of course, have the central banking system inside of them, and they're all, discussing and doing whatever it is that they need to do. This is the room. I don't know if you guys have ever heard me say this before, but have you ever heard me say that the same people that control what happens with the US dollar are in fact the same people that controls what happens to the Japanese yen. This is that. This is what it looks like. They're all in the same room and they're all doing, and making decisions and doing whatever it is that they're going to do. Excuse like the conspiracy theory, all that kind of stuff. The only thing that I really grabbed this for was just to, again, explain how the banking system at least is, pyramidized. On the bottom, you, of course, have the government, then the corporatocracy for the corporations that are conglomerates that own, 50 things under each one of those particular names. And then above them, we have the most popular banks, at least out here in the United States, with Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, Chase. These are all super, super popular banks out here in the States. And then the national central banks in the different parts of the world. You have the Reserve Bank of Australia, the Bank of England, the US Federal Reserve, and all of the other ones there. And then the international central banks, which would be the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. And then the biggest bank in the world, which is the Bank for International Settlements. That is the people that make these decisions. That's what it looks like. Now, how that all happened is, again, a book that I consistently always talk about, and it is Confessions of an Economic Hitman. What essentially has happened is that the United States will go to a country, even Australia, but let's just use Panama. Does everybody know what the Panama Canal is? It's like that huge shipping thing to move, big shipping ships, and it saved a bunch of time, but Panama didn't want it. And so what ended up happening was a person like John Perkins, which is the author of this book, is one of these people that would go and essentially create not espionage, but sabotage other countries in the world. So what they would do is grab the leader of whatever country and offer them especially obviously the third world countries, the ones that are suffering and starving and just don't have resources or whatever, right? And they'll come in and say, here's X amount of millions or billions of dollars, whatever. You're going to owe us money. You're going to pay interest. You're never going to be able to pay it back. Essentially, the United States is going to own you, but we know that you're never going to be able to pay the money back. So what you're going to do is you're going to give us your resources. You're going to give us the ability to come in and make whatever grids or the Panama Canal, or essentially whatever it is that we want out of your country, whether it's your oil, your land, or whatever. We're going to have it because you're going to take this money from us and you're never going to be able to pay it back. And if you refuse this deal, we'll kill you and we'll get another person to claim your presidency or this or that, whatever position of power, and they'll agree to it. Either way, we're going to get our way. So you choose. Do you want to become wealthy and become essentially our little puppy dog, or we'll get you out of the picture and we'll get somebody in here who will? That's essentially what an economic hitman is. And that is how the central banking system of the world has infiltrated all of these countries, all of them. And it didn't actually even start in the United States, but that's a whole other story as well, because it's actually started in Europe, but that's a whole other story. We'll just use United States as the starting point. I don't know if you guys know the history of this United States, but they were like, oh, we left Europe because of the Boston Tea Massacre, and that we wanted to have our independence and get away from the taxation of the Queen and this and this and that. No, that is all naive. Christopher Columbus did not discover the United States of America. You can't discover something where there has literally been people here the entire time for thousands of years. But everybody, of course, including myself, was taught that Christopher Columbus is the person who discovered America, or in fact, even like Thomas Edison discovered electricity. These are demonstrably not true. But the point is that they did not escape Europe to come over here and do that. Europe came over here to dominate the Western side of the world. And now you see the results of it, the United States. That was the point. Anyways, moving on. Quantitative easing is another wonderful, cute little thing that they are doing. Remember those bonds and equities and all of that? So this is just another little cute little picture of it. It occurs when the feds buy long-term securities to boost the economy. Again, they create these little bonds, and then they buy them to increase the money supply and lower long-term interest rates, meaning that they will continue to buy, trash and then be able to, again, just make more. And it makes it easier for banks to lend and people to borrow money. And again, keeps the economy healthy because they just keep taking on more and more and more and more. And that's what quantitative easing is. They are easing the economy. The economy is about to crash. They will print more money. They will assume more bonds, more debt, and, again, promise to pay those back, LOL, and then print more money and just throw it into the economy. That's what quantitative easing is. So remember, like I said, in the United States, the incredibly spiking national debt of the states. Remember when I said it went from 4.7 trillion in 13 months to $28 trillion. That's what happened. All of these little, fluxes right here are debt ceilings, meaning this is when the United States again chose to, that's what the debt ceiling is now. Then we make it there, of course, and they're like, oh, okay, now we got to raise it again, and then raise it again and again and again. But recently, since March, it has what is for, almost 5 times. It is almost 5 times in the last year, That's what's going on. This is them printing money. For those that, pretty much haven't heard me say this, or maybe you just know, over 25% of the money that is being moved around in the United States right now was printed last year. Over 25% was printed last year of the physical currency that's getting traded, getting traded around. They have just made, remember, the accessible money has gotten to at about 6.6 trillion. That's what this is. It has completely flown through the roof since 2020, completely. And then this is what the buying power of the US dollar looks like. It is nothing now. It is absolutely nothing. From 1913 all the way to 2020, it is flatline. We got off the gold standard back in the 70s, and then oil was the thing that they were backing the dollar with. But if you guys have been trading long enough, or even, in fact, if you haven't, you'll see it in just a second. But that's what that looks like. So when we're looking at things like the Dow and the indices, the NASDAQ and the S&P and the Dow, this is what they look like on the daily charts. Actually, this is the weekly chart. Each one of these candles is a week. This is like back in like 2017. This is as far back as I think TradingView allowed me to go, but doesn't matter how much further back it would have let me gone anyways. This is what it looks like. It is straight up. This is almost the epitome definition of unhealthy price action. The Dow Jones, the S&P, and this is the stock market. And for whatever reason, I didn't have, I had the US 100 index up, but for whatever reason, I don't know why. But anyways, it's the same thing for the US 30, which is the one that's missing. But the US 30 looks identical to that. And then there's oil. And I don't know if, again, you guys know, but in January, oil flatlined. It went to not only, in fact, to zero, it went to a negative value. How the hell that even happens? It doesn't, it literally doesn't even make sense, because what that means is that the oil companies needed to not only give you their oil, they needed to pay you to get, for you to take their oil. That's how, again, like, it literally collapsed 100%. Now it's already all the way back up to like 80, of course. But my point is that when we are discussing this, guys, this is, it's unprecedented. When I first started trading, I started trading here. And yeah, the stock market this is the US 100 index, but it's the same thing here. Like in 2017 or around 2016, like right here. Yeah, it was rising for sure. Right. This is the S&P. But since 2020, look at what is going on. It is completely in one direction right now. I don't know if, again, as traders, you guys understand how unbelievably serious this is. And not only, and by the way, it's not to scare you, because again, we're going to be able to be able to capitalize on a lot of this. And then there's already, not even to mention crypto and everything that's going on there. Apparently they're about to inject $200 trillion into crypto. Don't even know what that really means yet, but we'll see. I guess they're just going to increase the market cap for the top, I don't know, 10, 50, 100 coins, whatever it is that they're going to do. All of that's happening as well, which is, again, just going to skyrocket all of the market cap for crypto. The other thing that the feds are doing, and this came out like a week ago now at this point, in the United States, is that starting in November, what the Federal Reserve is going to be doing, and in 2022, and I'd rather have it to where you guys can see me when I'm explaining this, but in 2022, what they're going to start doing is they're going to start cutting back their asset purchasing. And this is coming straight from them. So what that means, what that means is, remember when I said, guys, that they were going to be buying bonds and things in order for them to, again, justify printing more money? They're going to start cutting that back, meaning that they're not going to be printing as much money anymore. What does that mean? Interest rates will have to go up. They have to. If they are not going to be buying more things, this is the easiest way to put it. If they're not going to be purchasing more of these things that they are creating, then that means that there is essentially going to be less in the economy. And no, it's not just for the United States. It's for all of them. Because every country's in debt and they're all doing the exact same thing. So, okay. From what I'm saying for the asset purchasing, I actually don't know 100% for what the other countries are doing, but I would assume it's the same, but I could be wrong. But specifically with the states, they are cutting back on all of their asset purchasing, meaning that if the interest rates rise, what's going to happen? It's going to be harder to get a loan. It's going to be harder to get approved for things. It's going to be harder to get a job. It's going to be harder gas prices are going to go up. Everything is going to go up. If the interest rates rise, that means that there's less supply. That's the easiest way to put it. There won't be as much money. And so interest rates are going to rise, and this is probably going to cause a crash. Or at least, we had a recession, maybe even a depression. Look at the physical price action, guys. They are pointing in one direction. And it's not, again, I'm not trying to scare anybody here and say, oh, well, what's the point of trading? No. All I'm trying to do is just, again, explain the environment that everybody here is walking into. It doesn't matter what you trade. It doesn't matter what time frame you're on, or none of that. This is going to affect all of the markets. Doesn't matter what we're talking about: crypto, options, Forex, the indices, any of them. Orange juice futures are going to go crazy. Everything is going to go crazy. And that's going to start in November of this year. So it's probably not going to be an immediate effect in the economy. Of course, it's not, because I think they're only cutting back like 30 billion at a time, and they're going to scale. So interest rates probably won't rise. March might be the first one, but if not, it will probably be August of 2022 when it happens. But when that does, again, guys, do you see how much room these have to go down? Like, do you see how much wiggle room, not wiggle room, but every day the US 30 is consistently, even right now, yesterday, it made another new all-time high. Yesterday. And it is literally, even as I am speaking right now, it is consistently doing this. We're talking about a drop from 37,000 to, way down here.
Hey,
the
Mike,
floor
quickly,
is zero. Huh?
Do you want to? We've got a lot of new traders on here tonight. Do you want to explain how we can actually benefit from this, though, just to so they don't?
To not make sure that you guys are scared of a boogeyman that it sounds like I'm creating. We can also, just as much, guys, when the markets are going up. I don't know if you guys, if first of all, sorry for anybody that is new, not even just on this, Zoom right now, but even on the recording. A lot of people in the niche and just in the trading world have made a lot of gains from these bulls, from this bullish for this, from the market going up right here on the US 30, for example. That does not change if the market goes flying to the downside. Just as much as we can make money this way, we can just as much make money that way. So nothing changes in respect of, like, just because I'm saying that the market could very, very well have a massive retracement. This is why there isn't really a boogeyman, is because, guys, they're not going to let it fail. And if they did let it fail, they would then produce us with a solution. And if you don't know what I mean when I say that, it's something I explain all the time. If you were them and you had the ability to control the world through the monetary system, because that's what everybody's focused on, is money, right? If you control money, you control the world. Why would you, would you allow your system to fail that is used to control the world when you have just as much power and ability to save it and continue your power, right? Would you let it fail? Well, I sure as hell wouldn't. Why would they? Right? They're not going to just, literally allow everything to crash, because, guys, if that did happen, then nobody would care who's a president. Nobody would care what is going on. You know what people would be caring about? Food, water, and Bart, like, nobody would care about anything, right? It would be survival mode, not living mode. So that would obviously be completely ridiculous for them, because why the hell would they want that? If all of us just started killing one another, you see how that's counterproductive. So again, they're not going to let the market fail. What we're talking about here is, again, just the perspective of what the monetary system is, what the money system is. Guys, it's not a pretty picture, 100%, but you have to know what the pictures of money look like. You cannot step into the financial markets and just vaguely understand that you're just trying to catch buys and trying to catch sells. You have to understand why the market is moving the way that it is. And of course, even anticipating the next move. So again, just as much as I'm talking about the market completely flying down to the other side, we have been in a bullish run for, all of the 20s so far. At some point, maybe it doesn't even happen in 2022. Maybe it happens in 2029. There's also that as well. But 100 years ago, do you guys know what happened in the 20s in the United States? Or at least the late 20s? The Great Depression. Do you know why the Great Depression happened? Because what was happening was that they had the economy, right? But the power families were like, no. What we're going to do is we're going to crash the market, drive all of our competitors out, and swallow them up for pennies on the dollar. That's what happened. That's what the Depression of the United States was for, because that's where the conglomerates came from. They swallowed up everything and bought up they literally bought up, I think, 80% of the market share, all of it. They literally there was only a handful of companies that weren't a part of them that survived the crash of 29 in the United States. Other than that, every company went bankrupt. Millions and millions and millions and millions of people were unemployed. And that's where, the oil rush, it's not the oil rush, it's the gold rush. Everybody went to California to go dig up gold. That's why there's so many people in California. But it's always a funny little thing. Do you guys know who made the most money during the gold rush? The pickaxe sellers. Not the people that were, mining gold or even doing anything with the gold. Anyways, that has nothing to do with it. It's just funny. But the point is that we are looking at this as a market cycle. And now let me bring that now back to the slideshow here to discuss market cycles. And again, I know, guys, that this is a lot of information. For especially somebody who is new, you just literally sat in a college class and just got tossed around the room like a rag doll, just getting thrown numbers at you. So always remember, my friends, it is recorded. This conversation does not end here. I'm firing off this information because it's a recording as well, just so you guys know. But I promise you, answers can absolutely be found. But anyways, this is a cool little picture. I just thought it was really cool, funny. But there's the picture that everybody in here should know that I will show in a second. But with all of that being said, they also create the markets that we're trading, if that hasn't already become abundantly crystal clear. But the way that the markets are designed is to move in a specific way to, of course, to create the emotional response from people like us. If the markets were designed for people like me and you to become financially free through the markets, they wouldn't let us trade. They let all of us trade, not just in Forex, but all of these things for a reason. What's that reason? The same reason that casinos exist: to take money from us. And the market cycle, and what this is right here, what we're looking at, is just a little example of, again, what the markets are designed to do to the human mind. If you guys don't know, they have also created the education that everybody has been taught to teach people like me and you how to look at the markets they create in order for us to, again, not make money in the markets they literally create and control, but to take money from us. So when you start with the optimism, right? Everybody's excited. This is cool. Trading is, great, exciting. It's cool. The thrill of trading. And then you get euphoria, right? And up in profits maybe, and understanding that you're making money and everything's great. And then complacency comes. You're at that state of euphoria, but then the market starts to turn around against you. And now you're starting to have a little bit of anxiety. And then denial is, oh, no. The market's going to turn around and it's going to continue to go up from here. And then it doesn't, it goes even lower. And now you have fear. Then you start panicking. Then it completely goes against you 100%. And you're angry because you lost. And then as usual, anger leads to sadness or depression. And then you go through the cycle again. You find a way to give you some hope, have a little bit of relief from this entire emotional roller coaster. And then now you're back to optimism. And the cycle repeats. This is the picture that Jordan, Zach, this is exactly what I was just talking about. This is like the simplified version of it. And this is obviously a little bit more, but it's the same thing. Disbelief of how the markets are moving, and hope and optimism, belief, thrill, the euphoria, the complacency of the market moving left to right or consolidation, all that. And then it pulls it all back. And then the anger, depression, and then the disbelief. And then it all starts all over again. The markets are designed to play off of human psychology. It is a secret that not very many people seem to understand. So what do? As your awareness starts to increase, guys, you start to, again, evaluate who you are, what you're thinking about, your perspective on things, your emotions, and your behaviors, not even just within the market, but obviously when we're trading. And once your awareness starts to become better and you're starting to become a lot more aware of what is actually going on, you start to make better decisions. You start to, again, align yourself with the way that you should be doing things and the reality of the situation in order to execute trades more effectively. And then, of course, what does that lead to is better results. You hear SJ talk about this right here all the time, and achieve balanced, consistent, and overall positive results with the self-awareness and the control. Mark Douglas, this is just a cool little quote I found from him. If you guys don't know who Mark Douglas is, just one of the best authors, book authors, and trader. Well, first of all, trader, but also author of books around trading. And the name of this book is called The Disciplined Trader. When you attain some degree of control over yourself, you can start to see how other traders are not in control of what happens to them, meaning their wins or losses. Like blades of grass, all bending to the force of the prevailing wind and constantly being stepped on. You won't be able to see this until you are no longer a blade of grass yourself by evolving beyond the group or the sheep mentality, meaning you can't see the forest through the trees. That's essentially what he's saying here. It doesn't become clear or obvious until again, it becomes clear and obvious. And then all of a sudden that's where you get the number of a 70 to 80 or 90% failure rate when it comes to trading. Why does that exist? Well, we just blasted through all that information. Remember, the recording is there. And of course, I'm not going anywhere unless, of course, they kick in my door and y'all never hear from me again. Other than that, these conversations will, of course, always continue to happen. But the reason why I just took y'all down that ride was because, again, once your awareness starts to become better of the situation, you start making better decisions. Once you start making better decisions, you will have better results. It's no longer just, well, is this going to be a buy or is this going to be a sell? Just purely, again, based off of technicals. Technicals is one aspect of trading. Sentiment and fundamentals are the other two. Sentiment being what we all think. Fundamentals is what excuse they're going to use to move the markets. And then, of course, technicals being price action. These things are incredibly, critically, unequivocally important. You cannot ignore these things at all, unless you were like I don't know, just the craziest person in the world that, closes their eyes, flips a coin, and then just hits a button and hopes that it does something good. Other than that, for everybody else here, that's not the reality. By understanding, again, where this money comes from, who controls it, why the markets move the way they do, why those market emotions, and taking you through, again, excitement, the thrill of it, then euphoria, and then anxiety, and then doubt, and take it all away from you. Anger leads to sadness. And then once you get out of the sadness, you start to become hopeful again and an optimist. And then the cycle repeats. That's what these markets are designed to do. But of course, guys, again, this is not like a boogeyman statement. This is exactly why the Trade House teaches the way that we do. Bounce back, as you guys know, is one of those terms of smart money. What smart money is the acknowledgement of dumb money. You need to understand the way dumb money operates in the markets. You cannot move as a quote unquote smart money trader if, again, you do not understand how dumb money works. And why does dumb money work the way that it does? We just went through it all, because that's the sheep, and the sheep are herded, and the sheep are told what to do, and they're led to slaughter usually. In order for these results to change when it comes to trading, this is where it starts. Not necessarily where it starts, but this is absolutely one of the most critical lessons. And guys, this is just a slideshow. There's a lot more that goes into this in terms of the money system. And again, what is really, really, really going on. It's crazy. That doesn't mean, again, that we can't take advantage of it or take, to be able to make money and, again, be able to impact our own lives personally and everything. Like, nothing has changed. Just to be clear with you guys, just because it made it seem all doom and gloom, that's not the point of this. The point of this is to, again, be real and understand this is the game that we're all playing, not just because you're trading, but you guys are participating in this society, right? You pay bills, you pay rent, you go to gas stations to get gas, you have social media, you scroll all day, go to grocery stores and buy groceries, then you're playing the game. If you don't understand how the game works, then how do you expect to beat it? That's what this whole entire conversation is about. As you guys push further and further and further into it, you will definitely, again, really start making better decisions, 100%, or at least that is the goal of what all of that was. So now you have some answers on money. Now, hopefully you guys have the notes of the recording of it. And so you guys can go obviously back through, but of course, go do your own research for this. Go learn what it is, so that then not only can you start making money yourself, but obviously be able to educate and help other people do the same thing. Because guys, if you haven't already known, my reason, my why, so to speak, is to end the monetary system. The only way that happens is that everybody learns how to make money. If you don't know what that means, then I'll leave it off at this and I'll pass it back to SJ. If I told you guys I was going to give you $1 right now and I gave you the $1, would anything change in your life? No. Why? Because you already have $1. Everybody here has $1. The same logic applies to $1 million. If if I told you I was going to give you $1 million, but again, you already have $1 million. Everybody here has $1 million. Then what point is $1 million? Money is centered around the idea that there's not enough. The moment you break that ridiculous, demonstrably true lie, you're free. And now you can, again, start to change your financial thermostat, as SJ always likes to say. Break these old rules and old understandings of how the monetary system works, learn how it works. And then again, not just making money is a thing that can happen. It goes way beyond that. Money's the lowest form of currency. So SJ, go ahead and hand it back to you.
Cool. How am I supposed to follow that up?
I'll be right back.
I do just want to recap on, there is a lot of new traders and a lot of them were inboxing me in here. And guys, just understand that I didn't know any of that shit for the first 5 years of my trading career. Okay. So you're not, and I have been pretty successful. So you guys are fine. Don't get overwhelmed with thinking that you have to know all of that. The point of that is literally what Mike just said, right? You are training to be smart money traders. You can't do that if you don't know how the world fucking works. Okay. That's literally period. So if you have any questions, do pop them in the chat. We're going to go over now a convention recap. And can you ask Mark about, I did see your question there before, Ryan. Can you guys write in the chat for me real quick? What is all of you, so all 74 of you, I think a few people have got the time zones fucked up tonight because daylight savings is finished. I just want to know, we've discussed a topic for next week's call just before we talk about the convention recap, Mike. Before we've got an idea that we want to talk about for next week's call, but I want you to write in the chat for me quickly. I'm just going to jot some things down. How many blue dragons was there? I'll have to go back and count that. I think there's a couple.
If you guys didn't understand, just remember that means you're in the right place. Because that's where the information that you need to be learning. If you don't understand it, that's good. That means you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Where else have you had conversations like this before? What are you taught growing up, save for a rainy day? These are all part of that. Financial education is not taught. Financial literacy is not taught. This is what the trade house is fucking built on, guys. All right, Mike. So can you ask Mike about the 200 trillion going into crypto?
I'm not too sure about it yet. It's just kind of getting tossed around right now. I honestly don't, because where is the 200 trillion coming from? Is that's what I'm not understanding. Unless again, they divide somehow on blockchain and they just create more. But that I don't understand how that would really make sense yet. So I probably shouldn't even have brought it up, but it was just something kind of a passing thing through the whole conversation. But once I find out a little bit more information on it, I will definitely let you guys know.
Yeah. This Saturday, guys, Australian time, 9 a.m. Melbourne time, so 8 p.m. Queensland time. Myself, Cassius from Trade House Canada, and Jordan Morgan, who is Mike's business partner, the other co-founder of Trade House Australia. We are doing a call. So I know it's early Perth time, soz boys. I got Ant and Caleb together. That this is going to be all about metaverse, crypto, smart money. So be on that call, this exact link, okay? And we are going to be starting on time. Any latecomers won't be let in. We're going to run a really tight ship on Saturday. Saturday, Australia, it is 4 p.m. Texas time. And I've got no idea about UK time, sorry. 8 a.m. It's 8 a.m., 9.
You guys really don't want to miss that call, I promise you. If you're not into the whole NFT and just understand all of that yet, do not miss it.
Yeah. And you've literally got, the goats of the goats fucking talking about it. So yes, be on time, 9 a.m. The call will open 5 minutes to, and then we're going to kick off right on time. So 9 a.m., 8 a.m., and whatever Perth time, 4 p.m. Texas time. Now, Mike, what are the updates for our beautiful company?
Well, we'll start with the trading side because obviously everybody here should know there's two sides of the platform, of course. So we'll start with the trading one, and honestly, the most exciting one, which is Quick, QUIQ. I've known about this for about 6 months, but they finally announced it. Okay, I got you. Okay, so we'll just focus on this because this is absolutely like the best update for real. This is something that really isn't available anywhere else. So for you guys that watch me or Zach or somebody on Go Live, for example, what Quick is now is going to be essentially a platform that is like TradingView, but it's going to be catered specifically to this platform. So do you guys know what Forex Factory is, for example? Forex Factory, you won't need anymore. The news will be on the screen. When you are watching Go Live, you will have me, for example, and then your chart right next to me. So you're going to be able to obviously look at them both at the same time. If I have a chart, like with my TradingView, like how TradingView works right now, for example, if I sent you guys a chart, it's a picture, right? You can't really do anything with it. But on this new platform, if I'm going to send you guys a chart, then I'm sending you my chart. Meaning that if I have a line, for example, you can then take my chart and move that line. It is a live chart that we're going to be able to give to people, and you guys are going to be able to give your charts to us. Whenever we see something in the market, when there's going to be something that's going on, everybody will get updates to their phone. They're essentially cutting out all of the outsourcing and making it to where everything is going to be right in front of you. It is going to be the most seamless way. And this really is not available anywhere in the trading world. Not really anywhere you can go right now that I can send you my chart. I'm not talking about a picture. I'm talking about the literal thing, and that then you can go on and do something and do whatever you want to it, or not touch it at all, whatever. And you can do the same thing for me. And by the way, I don't have any videos or anything right now to show you. Everybody in the chairman chats and stuff are literally asking for it like crazy, but don't have them yet. But I know I'm just explaining it with words right now, but there is definitely it is an unbelievable experience, and it is incredible. Of what it's going to be able to do. You're going to be able to, again, you're going to be able to rearrange how everything looks on your screen. It's going to be extremely customizable. Any Go Live educator that any of you guys watch, they're going to be able to essentially be in contact with everybody. If they send out a chart, we don't even have to be live. It could be 3:00 in the afternoon for me, and I send out a chart and all of you guys get an alert on your phone. Just for, again, being like, I mean, that's again what this platform is going to be able to do. And it is unbelievable. That is crazy. That is crazy what's going to be able to be possible with and again, it's called QUIQ. It's called Quick. Essentially, you're not going to need Forex Factory. You're not going to need to go all over the place for all of these different websites to look at all of this different information. It's supposed to be all seamless and right on the screen in front of you. And you're going to be able to have essentially all of the same drawing tools, any of the same indicators, or pretty much anything that you can think of that you would want right now is there. And they've been working on this for about 1.5 years now, and working out all the bugs and kinks and stuff. And it is definitely going to be insane. So I can just tell you guys right now that trading is learning to trade. And again, yes, there's also, they're going to have the risk management calculators on the screen. You're not even going to need an app or anything. There's going to be a lot size calculator and a risk management calculator on the screen for you. And again, everything that we outsource for, the objective of this, because I'm talking to the guy named Reggie that has been working with the CEO, Christopher Terry, who is, they've been pouring in hundreds of thousands of, millions of dollars. In fact, I don't even know if I'm supposed to say that, but they have been pouring in money to get this all integrated, to get it all to where, again, your account's connected to your Go Live account, right? And that Go Live account is going to be connected to these other servers, and how you're going to get updates and how you're going to get notifications sent to your phone, and how I can send charts to you and you can send charts to me, blah, 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 blah. There's a ton of back end work that needed to obviously be done. And they've been working out the bugs for, like, again, the past 6 months, and now they finally announced it. And that is truly, guys, revolutionary. And I don't say that to sound cliched. I say that because that is literally not available anywhere. Everything is going to be right on the screen. It is going to make trading so much easier and seamless when you guys are trading with other people. You're going to be able to, again, it's just going to be so much more of an interactive and seamless and smooth experience, as opposed to having 15 different websites open and having to, again, jump all over the place and grab all of this information and blah, 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 blah. They're even talking about the kind of market. But I mean, you're going to be able to look at, and by the way, guys, it's not just Forex, it's every market. You can look at cattle. You're going to be able to look at orange juice futures, crypto, indices, all of it, every bit of everything. You're going to be able to pull all this up. Every Go Live educator is going to be able to do that. I mean, again, the guy named Reggie, he's been trading for 2 decades, and he partnered in with the company to bring this to the company, this whole entire platform. He's not an educator. He's a person who has been trading and is bringing this, and they have put it all together, and it's going to be coming out. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that just yet. In fact, I don't think anybody does, but they've been running beta for 3 months, I think now. More than that. Whenever March Madness was, it was March Madness when I was talking to him. I don't know how many months ago that was now. Anyways, they've definitely been working that all out. So it's definitely it's coming very, 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 very soon. Don't 100% quote me on this, but it should be out by the end of this year, and that all of us are going to be on that platform. Essentially, guys, it's just going to make it a lot more seamless, a lot more interactive. We're going to be able to look at gold together, and you're going to have your chart up and I'm going to have my chart up. And again, it's just, again, guys, be really, really excited for this, because I'm telling you, it is going to make trading for you and all of us so much incredibly easier. And I didn't even, there is a lot more updates that go along with that for the platform and stuff, because they didn't even get to cover everything that the platform can do. They were just announcing it at the convention and played like 15, 10-second little videos of it just being demonstrated. And they moved on. Well, they had to, but there was a lot of information to cover, of course, but it is crazy, guys. And it is definitely something to look forward to for sure. It is probably going to be the biggest thing this company has ever done in the way of, again, streamlining everything and making it to where it is so much more, again, not just interactive or inclusive, but in my opinion, just a much, much, much easier learning experience. Because how many of you guys struggled with, oh, I need to do this website and I need to go here and I need to do this and I need to have an account here and I need to do, it's just all over the place. So, and not even just for the new traders, but even for the veteran traders, anything that you can possibly think that you would want, that platform is going to have. And you can still obviously use TradingView. You can still obviously use MetaTrader 4 if you want, but you're going to be able to take trades off of this platform as well. And I'm not, again, sure exactly how that's going to all work yet, but they're outsourcing MetaTrader 4 as well. MetaTrader 4 is like a Windows 1998 trash looking thing that hasn't been updated in forever. And yeah, they're getting around it. So it's definitely unbelievable, guys. It's going to be crazy. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work yet, because that's honestly what I was drilling him about, was how liquidity is going to work. Like, where is that going? How is that going to be coming from? Where is the data and the information going to be coming from, and how many servers are there? I was getting real technical and going straight for the throat with a lot of those questions. But anyways, once I find out more information, of course, I will make sure that you guys know as well. But just be excited for it, guys, because it's going to be incredible. And once there's more, content and stuff, and once obviously because I haven't gotten my hands on it yet. I haven't been able to use it. So especially once I'm able to use it, because I will be getting on it very, very soon. In fact, I'm probably going to have it by next week. Once I get to play with it and stuff, then I will really be able to answer a lot more questions and probably, of course, be able to get on Zoom and like demonstrate it and show you guys what we're all going to be able to do. But very, very dope. I'm telling you guys, this was probably the best convention that has ever happened. And this is probably going to be one of the biggest updates that the company's ever had. And it's going to create a lot of buzz and a lot of momentum and better trading, which is the most important part. So, yeah.
Amazing, guys. Give me a 1 in the chat if that fucking excites you. Come on. So just to recap on all of that as well, there will be, from memory, a brand new back office launching as well.
Yes, there is.
So a new back office, which will be fucking epic. New stock and options program as well.
Yep.
There's a whole heap of updates for the business side, but I might even get Mike to run the business call with me tomorrow night for our builders out here, and we can do like a discussion on that. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. Quick, obviously. Now there was something about a travel academy program.
Yeah, no, it's not an academy. It's
imagine that, travel academy. We're all flight
no,
attendants.
it's more of just finding cheaper ways to travel. I guess just the easiest way to put it is that people spend and waste so much money traveling in certain ways and not, finding the best ways to. People, like, I don't know if you guys have done it, but like in the United States, guys, I was used to pay $400 or $500 for a flight. But then once I was educated a little bit more, I'm paying $150 for a flight, and it's the same exact thing. But people, again, the majority of people will spend $500 because it's the quote unquote easy or right way. But it's not just obviously with airline travel. It's with a lot of different things, but it's obviously not going to be mandatory, but it's obviously for you guys that plan on traveling, of course, depending on how, of course, everything goes on. You definitely want to know, a lot of that information from people who have, been doing that for a very, very long time and have the tax write-offs for it, because that's another thing with taxes as well, that all of the traveling that you do is worth on taxes as well. So how, of course, you start to make money back on taxes and things like that. A lot of different things that will go along with that. But yep, options and stocks will be coming very, very shortly as well with that. And then, yeah, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned those things as well. It's just that Quick is like head and shoulders. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be wild. In a good way, like the best way. Everybody's so hyped up for it. All the educators are like, oh my God, I'm going to be able to do this and this and this now. We're going to be able to do this. I don't need to have to do this anymore. Blah, blah, blah. It's crazy. It's dope. I'm so excited for it, guys. It's going to make trading and teaching so much easier.
Mike, are you going to Barcelona? That is the last thing we're going to talk about. If everything is okay in terms of travel, yes, I will be there. Yeah.
As long as I'm not going to get like stuck in Europe, I have to go. I don't have to go, but I have to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I don't miss conventions, and I mean, for hopefully obvious reasons, but as long as traveling and all of that is okay, and none of that's going to be clapped or anything, yes, I will 100% be there.
No one loves the clap, do they?
No. No.
Thank you, Tim. Okay. And Jenna. I always embarrass Jenna. Every single day she will tell me something. She's like, I can't stand you, or I hate you, or change your face. Like daily. I'll get that from Jenna. We do have another convention in March. Okay, Florida, Palm Beach. If you are able to want to go, Trade House is going to incentivize a lot. Okay, to get Aussies out there. Fucking bring it. Mike and I were talking today, and that can be a discussion for another time. But if you can go and want to go and want to join us out there, let's fucking make it happen. But before we go and next week's call, okay, I want you guys to send to me or write in the Discord, whatever you want, okay? Because next week's call, I feel is going to be a really profound, impactful one. But I want you guys maybe in the chat just quickly before we go, okay? I want you to write in there what success means for you. Couple of words. Okay, what does it mean for you in the chat? Write it out right now. And then this is what Mike and I are going to build on next week, okay? I own my time, reaching my full potential, freedom, fulfill my dreams, freedom. Yeah. Time, financial freedom. Cool. And do you see by looking at all of those, none of you have got like a dollar value on that? Like none of you. Yeah. It's all freedom, choices, you know, and aside from Mitch, you wanted to fuck me up there with financial freedom. That's fine. It's what we're here for. But success is different for every single person, you know, like what my triumph maybe could be like a really fucking minor achievement for you. What my best could be, you know, your total disappointment. You know, there's so many things that go into this. And what we're going to build upon for next week's call is definitely a worthiness thing. Okay. A lot of you have the technicals down pat in terms of trading, but Mitch, what's so funny, but there's a missing link, and we're going to nip it on the butt for you next week. So I'm really fucking excited for next week's call. So keep that in mind for, you know, what it is you're actually trying to achieve, because we're going to smash through all the reasons why you're not there or getting there next week. Okay. Mikey, do you have anything to end the call with?
No, I think that's it.
Whose mind is blown, about to explode, and going to deactivate because they're overwhelmed. None of you, because they'll find you. All right, guys, I appreciate you all. Thank you for getting on. The recording will be up tomorrow. So yeah, go educate yourself on what it is we're doing, guys. That's what it's for. All right. Yep. Appreciate you, Mike, for staying up. And it's now 4 a.m. for Mike. Like, can we get a 7 in the chat for him?
5.
4 a.m. Come
5.
on. All right. I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful night. And Mike, we'll chat tomorrow about the business call.
Okie doke.
All right. Bye, guys.
Love you guys.